In April 2011, Michael van Eck, a gentle, hardworking, and socially reserved young man from the city of Welkom, South Africa, met a girl named Shauna van Heerden through a dating app. Michael was not reckless or naive by nature. He preferred quiet evenings, family dinners, and stability over parties and nightlife. He had recently gone through a difficult breakup, struggled with depression, and felt that his life had been standing still. But things were finally improving. He had just secured a permanent job at a gold mine, gained financial independence, and bought a new silver Peugeot with his parents' help. Shauna appeared shy, soft-spoken, and slightly strange. During their conversations, she suggested an unusual first date, a picnic at the Welkom cemetery. Michael found the idea unsettling and even mentioned his discomfort to his supervisor beforehand, but despite the warning signs, he agreed. He told his parents he was going to the movies with a girl, and possibly for a milkshake afterward. That evening, Michael left home in a good mood. His mother noticed he drove in a direction that didn't lead toward the cinema, but she dismissed her concern. That was the last time she saw her son alive. The next morning, April 3rd, Michael's car was discovered abandoned at a taxi rank in the city center. The keys were still in the ignition, and later blood was found on the door handles. When Michael failed to answer his phone or show up for work, his family realized something was terribly wrong and reported him missing. At the same time, workers at Welkom Cemetery made a horrifying discovery: a long trail of blood stretching along a path, leading to a large blood stain and a torn, blood-soaked t-shirt. Shortly after, Michael's mother arrived at the cemetery and immediately recognized the shirt as her son's. She collapsed at the scene. Police launched a full search. Using K9 units, they followed the scent and discovered a shallow grave beneath disturbed soil. Inside were Michael's mutilated remains. His body had been dismembered. His legs were cut off at the knees, one arm and one foot were missing, and his head was gone. The brutality made it clear that this was not a random act of violence or a simple robbery. Investigators traced Michael's final phone activity and identified the last number he had contacted: a woman no one in his life had ever heard of. When police finally reached her by phone, the voice on the other end sounded calm. She agreed to come to the hospital to identify a supposed accident victim. When she arrived, she was accompanied by her fiancé, Martens van der Merwe. Her reaction was chillingly composed. She calmly stated that she knew why the police were there and offered to show them everything. Shauna and Martens were taken to their apartment. The moment officers entered, they noticed a strong metallic smell of dried blood. Inside, the walls were covered with disturbing drawings and symbols. Investigators found ritual objects, books about serial killers, and references to occult beliefs. Among Michael's personal belongings were his wallet, glasses, and work ID, kept like trophies. In the freezer and containers throughout the apartment, police found what they had feared most: Michael's severed face, eyes, ears, and other body parts preserved in liquid. Videos and photos on Shauna's phone documented the mutilation in graphic detail. She appeared calm, focused, and emotionally detached while handling the remains. The couple also admitted to stealing Michael's money and using part of it to buy tools to bury his body. In the garden, Martens casually pointed out a freshly dug patch of earth. He then began digging up the remaining body parts himself, smiling as police photographed the scene. There was no panic, no denial, and no visible remorse. During interrogation, the full picture emerged. Shauna and Martens had spent months, even years, cultivating violent fantasies. Together, they created an imaginary world governed by ritual killing, power, and domination. They believed that murdering a person in a cemetery would trap the victim's soul in this world, allowing them to rule together. Before killing Michael, they had rehearsed by killing animals, including cats and a kitten they had adopted from a shelter. Shauna admitted that while she disliked the act of killing itself, she derived pleasure from dismemberment and skinning. Michael was not chosen at random. Shauna deliberately used a dating app to lure a victim. The cemetery, the timing, and the tools were all planned in advance. On the night of the murder, Martens attacked Michael from hiding. Michael fought back fiercely, but the couple overpowered him together. After killing him, they dragged his body deeper into the cemetery and began dismembering it. Because the grave they dug was too small, they cut off his legs to make the body fit. They later abandoned Michael's car in a high-crime area, hoping it would be stolen and destroy evidence. Afterward, they went home and slept. The next day, Martens proposed to Shauna, and they became engaged less than 24 hours after the murder. In court, psychological evaluations revealed deeply disturbed histories. Shauna had violent fantasies since early childhood, a traumatic upbringing, and a lifelong obsession with death and serial killers. Martins had been diagnosed with schizophrenia, but was deemed legally sane and fully aware of his actions. Martins showed remorse and received a life sentence. Shauna showed none. She stated openly that she understood society expected her to feel guilt, but she felt nothing. Due to the danger she posed, she was sentenced to 20 years with mandatory reassessment before any possible release. Michael van Eck was remembered as a kind, hopeful young man whose only mistake was trusting the wrong person. His murder shocked South Africa and remains one of the most disturbing examples of premeditated ritualistic violence driven by fantasy rather than necessity.